Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers. Welcome to the read along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna, and this is our read along of Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Welcome to the final part of the Tress of the Emerald Sea read along.
Woohoo! I don't remember which part this is. Maybe 8? Maybe?
Sure.
But yeah, it's the end.
We finished it.
We finished it. Well, before we jump into it, we should probably announce what our next read along book will be. And some slight schedule changes.
Yeah.
Not changes, just whatever.
Announcements.
Joseph, what is our next book going to be?
The next read along is going to be Poppy War by R.F. Kuang.
And so the schedule announcement part of this is that we're both students and we're both in our final little stretch of the semester and we both need a little break. So we're not actually going to start this read along right away like we normally would. We're going to push it out to January. So we will have a specific date and more info to come. But yeah, that will be the next read-along book. So if you want to join us, which we hope that you do, get yourself a copy. Put it on your Christmas list, guys, because you're going to have time to get it for, or whatever holiday you celebrate. It doesn't have to be Christmas, man. It could be Hanukkah or whatever. You got an opportunity to get a gift coming up, put it on your list, man. And join us in January of 2025 as we start the Poppy War.
Yes. Exciting.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, what a beautiful book we've just finished.
Yes, so whimsical, so just warm fuzzy feelings at the end all over.
Yes.
It's like a blanket.
I need to do the chapter titles, but then I want to start off. I want to start talking about the author's note at the end.
Do you want to start there? Or I feel like we should do that after we talk about what happened.
I know, I just feel so vindicated on some of my early thoughts. But okay, so chapter 60 was the Sorceress. 61, the Man. 62, the Hunter. 63, the Pilot. And chapter 64 was the Hero. And then we also had an epilogue, but it did not get a title. It was just the epilogue. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, so we finally met the Sorceress.
Yes. She's a techie.
Yes, she's just a big old nerd.
She is. She's got a laptop, seeing tablet. That was perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
She's also got she's got camera systems all over the place.
Yep.
Which was, or she's hacked into. She's got cameras, so she's got security system. But she's also hacked into Fort's tablet, and is using that as a camera, which is wild.
So, what did we learn?
Don't mess with IT people.
You put a sticky note over your iPad camera.
Well, that too. That too.
Otherwise, some sorceress is going to curse you. No, it was such a crazy, I knew it was coming, the whole, this isn't so much, magical. This is more, well, there's still magic, but this is, also sci-fi, the way that Tress was describing fluorescent lights.
Yes.
She had never seen them before. She's like, this is what heaven's like. Meanwhile, us on this planet, we're like, demon light. Turn that thing off.
Right. Give me
sun. Give me back the warm lighting.
Right. I want incandescence back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun. The laptop remark was really funny. So
what did we have right from the very beginning?
From the very beginning?
Well, since Charlie went missing and Huck turned up.
that Huck was Charlie.
Huck is Charlie.
She did bamboozle me for a second when the fake Charlie came out. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess not. But then it was like, oh, he's a fake, an imposter, a dupe.
It was all in a smile.
Yeah.
She knew
all
her
an
Charlie.
illusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole, and then the crew coming to save her, and them
Yeah.
figuring out that Hoy just needs to get into the tower, and then he'll be fixed, and he can probably like fight off the sorceress. Just that whole sequence was really fun. Anne got her moment being the cannon master.
Yes, and she did so good. She did so good. I was so happy for her. She just
She
needed
got out.
glasses the whole time.
Yeah, she needed to get out of her head because she was the person who misses. That was a fun section. How that becomes just internalized and
for sure.
like self-fulfilling.
Yeah.
But then Laggert came in and helped her build the confidence, which was such a cool move by him. Did not expect it. What a bro. Unexpected bro. Yeah.
Ugh. It's so good. The countenance of the sorceress being like glowing, and then the comment from Hoy that like that's what this whole thing has been about this whole time. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
And then he ends up also glowing.
Yeah, so he just like pops up in all these Cosmere books, and I feel like at this point he's just like collecting magical powers.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he's just like investigating all of these phenomenon, and this is what he wanted. And it was funny the way he explained it was like, it's an inclusive club that you kind of have to be invited into, and I found someone who was willing to make a bet on it, and I won. So now I'm in the magic club for
Well,
this
and then
specific magic power.
Yeah. And then one of the crew members was like, this was all a bet? Or was it Charlie? I don't remember who it was.
It was either Anne or Charlie. I don't remember which one.
And he was like, I mean, it took a lot of work to get here, so...
Yeah. I wouldn't call that merely a bet. Oh, no, Anne was the one that asked him why you would want to paint on velvet.
Oh, right. Right.
So you can feel it when you lick it, of course.
Ugh.
Stop asking stupid questions. So funny.
Well, and then the little aside of course, it wasn't a stupid question, but she did ask it of stupid, which is kind of a stupid question.
Yeah.
Which, like, makes it stupid, because you're not going to get an answer. But then there was also the, Fort got to be the ultimate hunter. And made a great bargain with the I'm going to call him a sea monster, even though that's not the midnight creature thing.
The midnight essence or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty great. They all got to have, like, their little moment. It's beautiful.
They did. Soleil steering the ship through the rocks. Yeah, the cannons taking care of the metal army, the robots. Yeah, they all had their moment to shine, which is what I wanted. I wanted them to all have their hero moment.
And they did. It was beautiful. And even Hoyd.
Even Hoyd, he did at the very end there when they got him in.
When he finally got to make sense.
Even Huck, because he jumped into the pewter cup and the cat batted it down the stairs and he got to open the door.
Yeah.
I'm very curious because so the sorceress was there studying the ether, I guess, like the moons and the spores and everything. But we still don't. I still don't know like what magic she has it's something with runes, and she can still like curse people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious to know what the curse was that she was going to put on Tress, because she said that it was like particularly bad, and that she had been saving it for someone particularly nasty. I was like, oh, I'm so curious to know what the
Yeah.
curse was, but scary.
Well, also knowing that she tailors the curses to be particularly awful for the victims. So,
Yeah.
I do not know.
Um, Hoyt comes in, prevents the rune curses from hitting Tress,
Mm-hmm.
and we finally see Hoyd normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
And then I was right that her tower was a spaceship.
Yes. You were
She
correct.
flew away.
She flew away. She also asked about she asked Trest about Oolong. Oolong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time with that name today. Which was funny.
Yeah, and she said that she had acid on hand
In case
to
he
deal
showed
with
up.
him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that you just dissolve someone. That's if they're like
Mm-hmm.
tough to kill conventionally. You know,
Yeah.
you got to give them that Terminator treatment, dump them into a vat of molten metal or something.
You know what I just realized? I know that whatever, looks
Mm-hmm.
like a person. But I've been picturing him as like an Ood from Doctor Who. The squid
That's
head people
funny.
with the little ball.
That's funny. Yeah.
I don't know why. Even I know he doesn't look like that, but that's kind of like the aesthetic I've been picturing for him.
I kind of pictured him as Silco from season 1 of Arcane.
That makes more sense than an Ood.
Well,
But anyway, I don't know why.
that's fair.
That's just been the image in my head, even though I know it's wrong.
Yeah, she did mention him. So there's like this weird thing, like these world hoppers all kind of have this, like they kind of know of each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're all familiar with each other, which is interesting to me. But then so they try, before she leaves, they want to try to get her to lift the curse on Charlie. So the curse on Charlie was that he had to bring Tress to the sorceress. He basically had to actually backstab Tress
Mm-hmm.
in order to lift his curse, and
Mm-hmm.
that was never going to happen. So she was like, "No, and I can't break the curse. Um, it can only be broken if he does if he fulfills the conditions of the curse." Um, to which Hoyd says, like, mostly true. She just wasn't like skilled or powerful enough to actually break it. Could be done, maybe, but true enough. So I was like, oh, so there are people out there that are like strong enough that could break it
Mm-hmm.
just because. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Hoyd does, since he has that power now, Hoyd does not break it, but he changes the conditions so that it can be more easily broken.
Right.
Which I'm like, the sorceress could have done that. She just didn't want to because she was being
For
a
sure.
butt.
For sure. Well, her fun was spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the new condition was that Charlie had to take his love to her home and tell her a verse,
Right.
which we don't get to hear because that was for Charlie and Tress, which is
Just for Tress.
fine, but also
It's like the letter from Pam to Jim in the office that
yeah,
we'll never know,
we'll never
even though
know.
everybody wants to know.
Right.
I'm sure it was very sweet.
Yeah.
There was a cool moment where Tress realized, like, this journey has changed me, and I'm, like, not the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally had our moment of irony
Mm-hmm.
of her getting the thing that she wanted, but then not being able to enjoy it because she was different. That was an interesting theme
Yeah.
that we got to read about. And now she's just going to be a pirate captain, which is so much cooler.
It's true. It's true. with Charlie.
With Charlie as the valet.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The epilogue was really good, too.
Yes.
So,
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we forgot about. Soleil found her dad. He was on the boat in the epilogue. Yeah, they just kind of decided to go. Oh, they got pardons.
oh yeah, they confronted the Duke. What a
Well,
guy.
they got pardoned. They got pardoned by the king first because they dealt with the sorceress.
Right.
So
Right.
they got pardoned for that, and then yeah, they went and confronted the Duke on the rock.
Yeah, whose
And
wife had left him because that was really fun. I mean, not funny, but
Yeah.
funny. To think that you could bring home someone else and claim them as your son, and your wife's not going to be mad about it.
yeah, wild.
But
Yeah, but now it's going to become a bit of a destination where like people are going to want to work there because they get like a stipend if they do. There's some kind of financial, you know, they
Right.
get something cool if
but
they
they're
do it,
also
which is
allowed to
cool.
leave.
Yes,
They don't have to stay there forever. So,
indeed.
yeah. It's good stuff.
I also really liked the part where Hoyd talks about like your self-worth and if someone tells you that you don't have worth. Let me see if I can find exactly where that was. I really like that part where Hoyd's talking about it's about if someone calls you boring. Oh, about if Charlie was boring. Tress remained captain and expert sprouter, while Charlie turned out to be an extremely capable valet and a passable ship storyteller and musician, a very well-versed man indeed. With a few tips, he wasn't so boring after all. Secretly, I'll tell you that you aren't either. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to lower your value. Don't trust them. They know they can't afford you otherwise. I like some of Hoyd's words of wisdom. He's
Yeah.
got some good little sections.
While we were looking for that, I found a little bit of Tress's words that I also liked. Could I share them?
Yeah.
So when she's confronting the sorceress, as everything's going down, and she's talking about how, well, the sorceress is telling her that you've ended up like every girl from any story needing to be rescued. And then Tress's response is, those stories always leave something out. It's really not a problem that someone needs to be saved. Everyone needs help. It's hard to be the person who makes trouble, but the thing is, everyone makes trouble. How would we help anyone if nobody ever needed help? And then there's, more words
Back
from
and
the
forth.
sorceress. And she says, the part the stories leave out is everything that comes before. You see, I've discovered that it's all right to need help, so long as you've lived your life as the kind of person who deserves to be rescued. And I think that's kind of beautiful. Because we like, as a society, we tend to poo-poo on the damsel in distress, which I think is rightly so. Like, just...
You mean we critique that trope?
Yeah, I said poo-poo
Or-
on. But yeah, we critique that trope
Right, okay.
of the damsel in distress, which I think is justified.
Yeah.
But I also think that by criticizing that, sometimes we make people feel like they shouldn't need help. And sometimes we do get into situations where we do need help. And so I thought that this was kind of a beautiful way around that. And also, this whole book has never been about Tress needing to be saved.
Right. At least not by like she's had moments where she certainly needed help.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's like her whole thing, is being willing, like that's her whole, one of her major development parts, I think, is just acknowledging that she needs help and accepting the help, like from her crew.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Another fun moment that I liked was when Hoyd was kind of explaining how he won the bet. When he was like, you know, my trick is always that I surround myself with the right people. He's like, I might not be, other than like my intellect, I might not be particularly like powerful or strong or like he's not like a fighter. He's
Yeah.
like, but I always surround myself with the right people, which is how he broke the curse because he managed to put himself in situations where he found the one girl on this planet that was likely to get him back to the tower, and he pulled it off.
Yeah.
So even Hoyd, this mysterious, immortal, extremely powerful, presumably planet-hopping being,
Needed help.
relies on other people quite often.
Yeah. True. True. And the sorceress was just keeping herself isolated in her midnight sea with her little spore monsters.
Yep. So I really liked the ending. It was great, warm, fuzzy.
Yeah.
Charlie becomes Charlie again. Tress stays as the pirate captain.
Yeah.
The sorceress is gone. I'm curious how Hoyd will, how long he'll stick around.
Yeah.
I know he's going to leave because he talks about how he like checks up on them.
Yes.
But yeah, I liked it a lot.
I did too. It was very good. It was a nice little breather of just like whimsy. And I think I would call this a cozy fantasy. I think it falls into the category.
I feel like that's pretty safe. Yeah.
So, can we talk about the author's note?
Yes, we can talk about the author's note.
So, Sanderson reads the author's note in the audiobook,
Which was
kinda cool.
which was cool. Yeah.
And he talked about how he was largely inspired by watching The Princess Bride with his family during the 2020 lockdown, which made me feel so validated because in the first section, I was like, this is giving me Princess Bride vibes. And and rightfully so.
Yeah.
So,
He also dropped like Good Omens.
yes, he did.
And like those kind of things, which I think we had mentioned earlier as well. I think
you mentioned Good Omens and I mentioned Princess Bride.
Yeah. So like all the things that we had mentioned were like mentioned in the author's note.
Yeah.
It's like, oh good, we're not crazy.
Which
Those
is
were...
so funny. We did not
Yeah.
read the author's note ahead of time, so we weren't making
Right.
those observations like trying to be on the sly.
Yeah.
But
I did not know there was an author's note
I didn't either.
when we started.
I also love that we knew that he wrote this book for his wife, but I love that she was the only one that had access to it for like the first little bit that it was being written.
It was just her story for a long time.
Yeah. Also interesting to find out that he also wrote this because he's hoping to write a Hoyd backstory book at some point.
I'm super pumped about that.
Yeah. And he wanted to explore the character's voice, but he doesn't think that this will be the final version of which makes sense because he's been under a curse this whole book. So
Yeah, he thinks that like the Hoyd backstory, the like Hoyd wouldn't be narrating it. It would be less whimsical in tone, but which makes me think maybe Hoyd has a pretty dark backstory.
I mean, I think to
know.
end up like him, you almost have to.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited about that potential project.
Yeah.
Of his.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy that he just like wrote a whole book. And I loved that he said it's like basically a long format of other stories that he's told because Hoyd is like notorious in the Stormlight archives for just popping in with these very like profound and meaningful stories that he'll tell one of the main characters to like help them along. Like the dog and the dragon was one that he mentioned. There's like, yeah, there's so many moments where he does that, and picturing this as just like a longer version of one of those stories, I think was very cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Great concept.
Agreed.
He also talked about like how he came up with, or like how he had always thought about a world where the oceans weren't comprised of
Yeah.
water,
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
and like how he came up with that. The magic with like the spores and everything. He had known that like ether would be a thing in the Cosmere, and it's apparently come up in other books. But now he wanted to like actually explore it more, which was cool.
Yeah.
And the whole like, what if Buttercup had gone off to try to rescue Wesley instead of
Right.
just assuming that he was dead?
Right.
Like that is such a cool idea, and we got it.
I will also say that Tress is significantly more likable than Buttercup is.
Yes.
At least
Which he talks about
book
too.
Buttercup.
Yeah.
I think movie Buttercup is also more likable than book Buttercup, but
Interesting. I have not read the
yeah.
book.
It's wild.
Bizarre.
Just mind-bendy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I've talked about that in other places on the pod, so. But yeah, just, it was very good. It was very good. I'm excited for my next Brandon Sanderson book. Whatever that is. I don't own
Very
any
good.
other ones. So,
Oh.
just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
So someone can maybe try to change that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Do you still... What kind of books do you prefer in terms of like formatting? Because I know historically you have liked just the mass market paperback,
Yes.
but have you kind of grown out of that a little bit?
100%.
Okay.
I do like a hardcover.
You do like a hardcover now.
I do like a hardcover now.
Do you
I also
prefer
like
one over the
paperback.
other?
I don't love
Okay.
the only real mass market paperback that I even consider purchasing anymore, honestly, is Star Wars books. Old Star Wars books, because then they match my other old Star Wars books.
Right.
And by mass market paperback, I mean that specific size.
Yeah. So otherwise, you're okay with hardcover.
I'm okay with hardcover. I'm okay with softcover too, but
But if
I
it's
do
series,
have
they all need to be the same size.
I do have a lot of hardcover now. So, yeah.
Nice.
My
Well,
Tress of the
anyway.
Emerald Sea is a hardcover, so.
Yeah, mine too.
But,
Mine as well. And yeah, he mentioned it in the author's note as well. But if you guys have only been listening and have not like looked at the book, he was like, just find a way to get your hands on a copy just to flip through it so that you can appreciate some of the art, because
Yeah.
it is very pretty. And I just realized that the two cups in the beginning when you open it are the pewter mug and the butterfly cup.
yep, they are.
That she ends up,
They
that are her
are.
favorite ones.
Yeah, so go to your library, pick up a physical copy, go to the bookstore, and just like look at it. If it's not in your ability to purchase one.
And in the end, Huck is in the pewter mug and the butterfly
Oh my
one is
gosh.
cracked.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys. Really, they're just. These books are like little pieces of art, honestly. The end pages are
so
beautiful.
lovely.
It's just, they're just so well made.
Man, I love this book a lot. This is great.
Yeah. So let's do our
Lovely.
score.
Oh,
Out of
man,
5
for
stars.
me, it's I'm gonna go for like a 4.9.
Yeah.
Like, this bad boy is just about perfect. And the only thing that I would maybe change about it is, I wish it was longer. I want
Oh.
more. Yeah.
I feel like I give all of our books a 5. That's not true. I don't think I gave The Blade itself a 5.
Hmm. I don't know if I've ever gone full 5.
We definitely gave all of the N.K. Jemisin books full 5s. We 100% did.
That could be. I don't remember, honestly.
We did. But I think a 4.9 is appropriate here. I don't know what I would change to, except I suppose there are some plot points that we get past kind of quickly. Like, we don't spend a lot of time with the dragon. We don't spend a lot of time with the sorceress, and maybe more time there would have been nice, but I also think that the pacing matches the pacing of the whole book, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he also had a sensitivity reader for having a deaf character, which I just think is that's amazing. That's great. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was just, the whole book was so well handled. And the physical copy is beautiful. You know what? Okay. 4.9, because the audiobook narrator, I don't know, matched Hoyd.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Kramer narrates all of Brandon Sanderson's stuff pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he did great.
He has already voiced Hoyd in the past. So it made a lot of sense to me, but I understand. Because since it's like a female POV character, but it's told by a male voice, like, there's like a lot of female dialogue. So, like, maybe it would have made more sense for, like, Kate Redding to do it, since she does the girl voices usually.
Yeah. Or maybe have it be dual, so that the girls are handled. I know that doesn't happen very often. They usually just have whoever do both. But,
well, what I really want is what are they called? Like, the Narnia books did that, where it's like a theatrical, I can't think of the term for it now. A dramatization. There we go. What I want is a dramatization version. Oh, I want the sound effects. Yeah. I want a cast.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Is it fair to take a point off for that? Oh.
I'm going to do 4.9 because there was one specific moment where I was like, huh. Like, where something didn't quite make sense to me, and that was just when they were using the cannons on the metal soldiers.
Oh.
And they were talking about how this was, like, I don't know, like, Tress came up with the impact. Well, she didn't come up with it. She created cannons that would sprout vines on impact. But, and it talks about how the metal soldiers had sunk other ships before. But they didn't know what to do about vines. And I was like, well, they had used cannons, like cannonballs that sprouted vines before. So, like, why didn't the other king's ships that were, like, coming to try to take out the sorceress do that?
Right. Oh,
because they still had cannonballs that sprouted vines, just maybe not on impact. So you'd think, I don't know, that was just one little hang up I had where I was like, oh, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
That these metal men would have never, like, encountered cannonballs that sprout vines.
Right.
You know, if they had fought other ships before. Anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe Brandon could maybe he could explain that away if he were sitting here. But
sure. I'm sure he could.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the 4.9 is fair.
But I loved it a lot. One of my favorite fantasy books, for sure. One of my favorite ones that he's written. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read more of his stuff now.
Me too.
Even more. The new Stormlight Archive book. The new Stormlight Archive book is coming out.
Oh, is it?
Very soon. That's going to take a while to slog through because they're notoriously long. It's okay. I'm excited. I'm going to have to watch a bunch of videos, like, recapping the plots of the previous books, though, because...
Yeah.
Oof. They're so long. Anyway, the next one is Poppy War. We're going to take a little break.
Yes.
Stay tuned for the reading schedule and all that good stuff.
Yes.
But until next time, Happy holidays.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.